Right, it's morning of day 8, 6:30. I've been hiking for about a half hour. Let's see, I woke up this morning and it was seriously cold out. I mean, it's got to be in the 30s, so that's kind of odd. I was fine, it's just my feet were a little cold and it sucked getting up, so something I'm going to add to my list. After all the water crossings yesterday and all the rain the day before is, I think, a third pair of socks which won't get rotated. There'll be warm ones for mornings, for sleeping in specifically, for mornings like this morning. I did wake up and I did have a pair of dry socks to put on, but if it had been raining yesterday, I wouldn't. So, you know, if you get a day of rain and a bunch of water crossings, then you don't have the opportunity to dry out your second pair in the sun on your pack. So I am gonna have a pair, 2 to alternate for hiking, and then a third pair for sleeping only. That'll always stay dry. And I've heard that recommended before, but I didn't consider the fact that you have the potential for your feet to always be wet. Anyway, so yeah, another pair of socks, and I'm gonna look for a really, really small thermometer because my inReach weather report said 40s, I think 40, but it's gotta be colder than that. So I'd like to know exactly what it is in my tent. So I'm gonna look for a little tiny keychain thermometer. Anyway, yeah, so I camped at the ranger station, Crabtree Ranger Station last night, which is where the PCTers, as far as they're allowed to camp when they go up Whitney. It's kind of funny, there's a big river crossing to get into the campground and ranger station. So at the very end of the day, literally a minute before you go to set up camp, you have to soak your feet. You have to go through a crossing, and then so you have soaking wet shoes at night, and you know, soaking wet feet, which is fine as long as you stay moving. And then once it's time to, you know, go to bed, you take all that crap off. And then I will say that my homemade flip-flops out of insoles and duct tape, I was gonna get rid of them, but for that reason, they're very useful. Waking up in the middle of the night to take a leak, not having to fight to put on wet shoes. For one thing, it's cold and wet. Second thing, they're hard to get on quickly, you know, while you're trying to keep mosquitoes out of your tent and all this stuff. So I've used those twice now. Once to cruise around camp and it was nice and warm, and then another time like I just described. So anyway, maybe I'll keep them around for a few ounces, we'll see. Anyway, so yeah, what I was saying is, so then first thing again this morning, I had a dry pair of socks and I was tempted to put them on. But then I remembered, okay, I gotta cross this freaking creek first thing. So I put on my, and it's already cold, I had to pack up my sleeping bag, and I put on my soaking wet, cold socks and shoes. And it's just a little tough for a bit until you get moving. So I mean, as soon as that was the last thing I did before I got out of the tent and started packing everything up, and then did the crossing, and now my feet are warm. As long as you stay moving, you can stay warm. Yeah, maybe because I was so hot those first few days, I underestimated how cold the Sierras might get. And I sent home my thermal bottoms, which I think I can live without. And I sent home my gloves, which weren't very warm anyways. They were like kind of bicycling gloves. They were sort of warm, but but now I see that the Z-Packs possum down gloves would be nice to have. So if I ever do this again, I'll pick some of those up, or if I find some decent lightweight gloves in Bishop, I'll pick some up, but otherwise I'll be fine. This jacket works well. Just put your hands in your pockets. Hands are getting cold now holding this phone, but I was fine before. So anyway, I don't know if I mentioned, it's day 8. I'm gonna walk Unfortunately, I can only walk 20 miles. I'm gonna cross a couple crossings. Tyndall Creek is one of the bigger ones on the trail, so we'll see what that looks like. It's in about 5 miles. Then Forester Pass is in, I think, 12 miles, something like that. And then the trailhead for Kearsarge Pass is 21 miles, something like that. So plus this mile. But if I was to do a full stretch today, which is 30 all the way into Onion Valley Campground, I feel like I could do it. Besides the Forester Pass, there's not a whole lot of up and down, it doesn't look like, but then I'll show up at 7-8 o'clock at night and won't be able to get a hitchhike into town anyway. So I'm just gonna hike to the trailhead and take my time throughout the day. If I ever catch a spot where there's sun, and I've already done these 2 crossings, I'm just gonna chill and let everything kind of dry out, and I'll probably wash my shirt, that way for the hitchhike tomorrow I don't reek. But yeah, anyway, so 20 miles today, and then yeah, a couple crossings in Forester Pass, which is the highest pass on the trip, which will be my second highest elevation after Whitney. So anyway, pretty much all there is. I'll update later. Right, here I am approaching Forester Pass. It's let's see, it's that little crack right in the center of the screen there. Yeah, so this is pretty cool too. But yeah, so my inReach is dead, so I'm not gonna be able to send out a camping here message tonight, so that doesn't worry anybody. And I lose my track for the last 10 miles of this trip, which sucks. But I just need to get up over this thing here safely, and it'll be all good. It's let's see, 12:50. I've gone about 15 miles, maybe 14. So I'm doing 2.5 miles an hour. I had to cross Tyndall Creek, which took an extra half hour. I had to go upstream quite a ways to find some place that I thought was easy enough. What else? So I just took a half hour to finally eat in a mosquito-free zone. So I've had a half-hour break since 6 a.m. Washed my shirt, my sleeping shirt, so I can get into town and not scare everybody. But yeah, I better save the rest of these batteries because everything's running dead. So I'll probably take another couple photos up there. Okay, here I am about halfway up Forester Pass. There's no trail. The switchbacks are all covered in snow, so I'm doing a combination of picking my way through the boulders and then coming straight up some of these snow slopes. Luckily I got my micro spikes. They really help. I wouldn't want to be doing this without them, that's for sure. Anyways, there's Forester, so I guess I'm about halfway. But yeah, this is freaking pretty nuts. Alright, here I am on the north side of Forester. I just came across that snow slope, ice slope, whatever you want to call it. Well, you can see some people making their way down. It looks like, thank God, there's some trail, because that just took me about an hour. So much for getting to Kearsarge Trailhead today. But yeah, looks like the trail cuts along there. But check this out. These mountains are insane. I mean, this is something that everybody should do if you're physically capable. I'm definitely a newbie up here. There's lots of pros. This one guy I was talking to, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna scramble to the top of that hill and hang out. I was like, okay, unless he was either full of it or he's hardcore. But anyway, so I'm gonna try to make some time down this unsnow covered stuff here. Ready.
That's where I just crossed. It's up here a bit, even up there actually. It's way easier. And, it's a little short crossing, but it's yeah, anytime you come to a crossing on PCT, I guess you can just look upstream a ways and see if you know, water increases its flow as you move down the hill when all the different little streams connect. So anyway, look upstream, and a lot of times you can cross multiple tributaries, or for whatever reason, this, you know, right above you will be a little less steep, or below you even, and then you can you know, the water widens out and you got less, and sometimes maybe slower. All right then, I'm just gonna keep cruising here. Got a long way to go. This is coming down the backside of Forester. And I don't have that long way to go actually. It's only 7 miles or something, which I could fly, but if it were kind of rolly. But it's a bunch of crazy changing stuff, and so far it's been a lot of snow patches and steep, but super cool. But yeah, I definitely can't go that fast over that kind of terrain. Anyways, I'll make it to the trailhead at Kearsarge Pass, where trail where it intersects the PCT, and I'll camp there. All right. Well, real quick, I'm gonna talk about my experience going over Forester. So I did about, I don't know, 10 miles before I hit the, you know, the area, and then it was walking up, I'd say 3 miles through, like, I think I got it on video, but just a whole lot of shallow water shedding. You start cruising up and you're like, okay, I think this will be cool, you know. You see some snow up there, and then all of a sudden it starts to get steeper and you're following some switchbacks and you're like, all right, easy money if it's like this. But then big fields of snow immediately cover the trail, you know, toward the bottom, and all you see is the trail end, and some tracks go like directly up the front of it in the snow, or some boulders that go way down and around and over and up, and then you can connect boulder piles basically along with some shorter snow crossing, which is, you know, straight uphill. And then I did that for a while. That was a little stressful because you can't see where the trail's kind of supposed to be from below. Coming down, you're like, oh, okay, I can find that because I see it over there. But from below, a lot of times you can't see where it's running. So anyway, I finally got to the top, and then and the rest of and then you finally hit an area where the trail's exposed, and it's just steep and narrow and right on the edge of this extremely long drop. And then there's like the chute area, which I got photos of that I was talking about. I can't imagine people do that when there's no trail, when it's covered in ice or snow. Anyway, so then I came down the other side and took a look and realized I had long snow-covered slopes to walk across that some people were cruising through without micro spikes, or this, you know, I never seen anybody put them on or off, or in the spike holes melted in on the path. But that's another thing, is the paths kind of melt, so you don't see, you know, depending on how far along, you know, behind everybody else you are, sometimes you don't see a clear, distinct area in the snow, but most of the time you do, so that's nice. Anyway, so then I just came down after those few kind of dicier slopes, and what I mean by slope is like, God, what angle would that be? But you know, 45 degrees at least. And below, you would slide a long ways on snow, and then chances are there's rocks below, or rocks scattered about in the snowfield. But you can, you know, walk through it pretty easily, apparently. A lot of people are doing it. So I was just put on my spikes and cruise through it slowly. Slows you way down. Anyways, and then eventually I hit this hard ass, rocky ass, massive, where the hell, trail that goes on for a long time getting off the peak of that thing. But for me at that point, I was just glad to be off the snow and the surprises and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, and then you cruise back through a similar watershed, you know, lower elevation watershed area, kind of like I experienced on the way up. And this one was different in its own cool way. It had this really awesome creek through it. The other one had a lot more lakes and smaller streams. It was, I think it was shallower. The land was just a little different. I was directly down. But anyway, and then now I'm in the tree line, and the trail's pretty chill. And I gotta find a place to camp. And I need to walk for 2 more hours, so that's my thing. All right. Yeah, that's my experience over Forester Pass. All right. Anyhow, just a nice evening walk in the woods here. My knees are just shot. I don't know, I'm guessing, yeah, because today was a little harder than most days. So, but I'm still walking. I'm gonna check out a campsite, hopefully about a half a mile up here from now. By now, I'll check. But I'll probably, yeah, chill. If it's a nice site for this evening. A little early, 6, this is not too bad. I was hoping to get to the junction with the other trail, but it's just a few more miles in the morning, 4, something like that, maybe actually 2 even, I guess it's 3, let's check. Anyway, check out these, there's all these areas that you'll pass. The trees are all down. I guess this isn't one of them, but I wish I got the ones back there on video. They're avalanches, just mowed down the whole freaking little gully or whatever. These low points, but definitely cool. Yeah, it's probably pointless. I just stepped in that stream and didn't need to. Some bare feet later on, but later. All right.